Hello, everyone. This is going to be my commentary for Saw 6. Um, yeah, this is the 20-year anniversary for the Saw franchise. So I wanted to do something special for that 20-year celebration. And it's crazy to think that 20 years ago, I was in elementary school, and my step siblings they rented the first Saw movie from Blockbuster that was across the street, and we ended up watching it. And I remember that it terrified me. They've terrified me with a couple of movies. Right now, the Twisted Pictures Presents is popping up. The um, I start the, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I remember they terrified me with a few movies. Other than the Saw franchise, there was The Butterfly Effect, which traumatized me as a kid, but I guess in a good way, and the Evil Dead movie. Yeah, a film by Kevin Greutert. I remember in my last commentary, or my Saw 2 commentary, these commentaries are out of order. I actually did Saw 2, and then I just jumped to Saw 6 for reasons. I guess I can explain it. I have plenty of time. But I said that in my last commentary in Saw 2, I said that Kevin Greutert directed Saw 5. He actually he was supposed to direct Saw 5 from what I understand. He was the original director but it didn't work out, and David Hackle ended up directing Saw 5. So Kevin Gruder directed Saw 6, this one, and um Saw 3D, Saw 7, the final chapter. All right, so I actually have quite a bit of notes for this one. Oh, well, apparently this trap, we have the two characters. I want to say her name is Tara, but I know her name isn't Tara. I think her name is Simone. Simone and Eddie, I believe their names were. But anyway, Simone, um, the trap that they're sorry, I'm smacking my lips. The trap that they're in right now is called Pound of Flesh. Apparently that was the name of this whole schematic or whatever. It was Pound of Flesh. Everything says, "Oh, what's this trap or what's that trap called?" But when you have the characters in these weird situations, it's like, what? How do you label that a trap? It's like, yeah. So this one's called Pound of Flesh. Some of these concepts have multiple names, like the cube trap was also called the water trap. I believe it was called, yeah, the water head trap or something like that. But these things have multiple meanings behind it. Oof, now we have the drills going through the head. Very similar to the character from the first Saw movie that was in the chair. Um, I can talk about him when I do my Saw 1 commentary. I actually already did a Saw 1 commentary. I did it about a year ago, in a hotel room that I was in. And what happened was, um, I was I was doing a lot of research on these Saw movies for a while. So here we have Simone about to cut her fingers off. Originally in the script, she cut her fingers off and realized it wasn't enough, and then cut her hand off, realized it wasn't enough, and then cut her arm off. And they just kind of realized it wasn't working out. It was just too much to do. So she just, to save money, to save all that, just go straight for the arm. So yeah, here she is cutting her arm. There's a prosthetic arm, of course, and we have our boy Eddie. I believe that's his name, Eddie. He just went straight for the fat. And it's like, yeah, when you're in this situation, oof. Um, so yeah, he's dropping his pounds of flesh, and there's our girl Simone. Oops, there goes the drill. Simone actually got her job by winning Scream Queens. It was a competition, and competition, and whoever won this season's competition was the winner. Got to be in a Saw movie. So okay, so right here when she has the cleaver and she's actually cutting the arm, the director was telling her to cut, and he kept yelling cut, cut, and she thought that meant to keep hacking, and she almost hacked the prosthetic woman's arm. That's obviously a fake arm that was on the table, but there was another woman under the table that was kind of holding the prosthetic. And when the character actor who played Simone was hacking, she almost severely injured the woman. But yeah, because he was like, "No, don't get too into it." So he tried to tell her to cut before she got too into it, and ended up becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy and made her and end up making her do it anyway. But anyway, for Scream Queens, whoever won this season's competition was able to get a role in the Saw franchise, and she was supposed to have a cameo, but she was so good that they gave her her own role. So right here we open up with Cecil and Amanda in the car together. Originally, I don't know what song is playing right now. Let me actually. Okay, well, originally in that scene, uh, the actress that plays Amanda is actually in a band, and as a fun little Easter egg, originally her band's song or music was going to play in the radio as Amanda and Cecil were driving toward the hospital in this scene in the rain. But because of copyrights and all of that, you know, stuff like that, they weren't allowed to do it, even though she like made the song, was a part of making the song. She still didn't technically own the legal rights, I guess, for multiple media use or whatever. So her song wasn't able to be put in there, which is weird, ironic, because there was a Charlie Clouser song. Yeah, but it was just an issue; just didn't work out. Sometimes you can get away with things, sometimes you can't. But in the previous Saw movie, they were able to get away with it. Which when I do that movie, I'll talk about that. Was it the first one? No, five. Yeah, it's gonna be in five. Um, yeah. Here's Hoffman looking at Detective Peter Strom's body. That was too much. The gore was just too much, especially the smashed up body, the meat sack. Yeah, Hoffman's a monster, and I really liked Peter. Umbrella Health, a possible reference to the Umbrella Corporation from Resident Evil. The producers did have a little comment on. I say producers, but the past, the background, the crew members. They had a comment to say about this building being called Umbrella Health and it being a reference to the Resident Evil franchise and how these evil corporations, kind of get away with stuff like that, pharmaceuticals and all that. But yeah, um, yeah. So I've been trying to do this for a year, over a year. I've been actually preparing for these commentaries, and I did the first Saw movie. Didn't work out. No, it did work out. I'm so sorry. I did the first one and it worked out, but I didn't do the rest of them. The reason why I didn't do the rest of them is because I was doing them in order, and I didn't get to the second Saw movie because I wanted to do research on each character represented a survival instinct in the human mind, and I was trying to thoroughly do my research to accurately talk about how each character represented a form of survival. And life just kind of got busy and just hit me on so many levels, and it didn't work out. And so I just kept pushing it back, and here we are a year later, and now a year later, I'm over a year later, I'm finally getting to these commentaries. Yeah, interesting story there. So now we have Will talking to this fine gentleman The fine gentleman he's talking to right now actually applied for the role of Will and did not get the role. Will is the insurance dude. William Easton. Um, yeah, well, yeah. I wish I could remember his name. I want to say his name was Brett. No, 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 no. Harold. Yes, his name is Harold Abbott. He played this role pretty well, really did, and I really did enjoy the twist at the end of this movie of that it was kind of set up that the woman and the child, the mother and the son were like William's family and he was cheating on them, but it ended up turning out that the man that William rejected at the beginning of the movie ended up being the father of that family, and the reason why the dad was like, "Oh, you killed my father," that was the kid's father. And surprisingly, it took me watching this movie 5 or 6 times. Before, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, wow, it's about 7 or 8 times watching this movie before I know what the commentaries about 9 or 10 times. About 10 times I've seen this movie. Oh, did I watched it with my buddy? Wow, I've seen this over 10 times. Um, it took me over 10 times of watching this movie before I actually picked that up. I was always confused about what happened there, so And then here's all the characters that are in the office. They all were all the characters that were in the carousel. And there is the custodian. The custodian was the guy who, you know, had the lung and he was smoking, and whenever they took a breath, they would like squeeze their sides. That was the janitor. So yeah, paying attention, you'll notice that each of the characters that were in that law firm, each were characters that were in the carousel and the traps that William had to go through. Here's our boy Hoffman. Hey, there's a cop there. A cute cop. I'm sure there's a story behind her, why she's here. Wish I did more research on it. Hey, there's our boy. Detective, FBI agent, oh, I can't remember his name. Dang it, I can't remember. You know what? It was funny because I remember watching this, and I watched the FBI agent right here, and I watched Perez, and as they're talking to Hoffman, they know that Hoffman's the killer, and they're just like playing with him, and I sense that very strong in the movie. That was probably put there on purpose to build the tension or be put in Hoffman's head. Then for the audience to be put in Hoffman's head. Oh, and there's Perez. So Agent Perez, she went and got her face blown up by the saw puppet in Saw 4 at the daycare, I believe, at the school. She originally died in that scene, but they quasi killed her. And they brought her back because the studio did not want them to kill this FBI agent. I need to find this FBI agent's name. Erickson. Agent Erickson. So the studio would not let the Saw producers kill Agent Erickson. So they brought Perez back so that way they could kill her off because they had to kill off some detective when it came to the whole cat and mouse chase. A detective had to die. They said Erickson could not be killed off in this movie. So they brought Perez back just to actually kill her. But then the producers ended up killing off Erickson anyway, so they still kind of got away with it. But yeah. Nope, and here we have the blonde lady, the anchor woman. I wish I knew. I wish I remembered her name. But her name might have been. Sorry, sorry. 1 second. You're gonna hear some silence for a few seconds. Well, anyway, so this reporter this reporter that Hoffman is talking to right now, she originally had a bigger storyline, and so right here, um, the room number that Hoffman walks into is 2013. Adding those numbers together equals to six, which was this is the sixth Saw film. A possible Easter egg. Yeah, and the fifth one they had the same thing. They had a little thing. So right here, Simone is laying in the bed, and Hoffman's like, "Did you learn your lesson?" She's like, "What am I supposed to learn from this? Look at my arm." And she said the only good thing, or the only thing about this, the only benefit about this is I get free parking at the mall. So this was one of those. This was one of those. This was one of the. Sorry, that scene that she did in the hospital was actually the first scene that she did when she started filming this movie. But yeah, they said that she did so good. She did so well, and I should probably start by saying what version I'm watching. I don't know if this is a director's cut or not. I have the. I know it's unrated. What is this? The widescreen. That's all it says is unrated widescreen. I'm gonna assume that this is. I'm gonna assume that this is the director's cut. There's the box that Jigsaw left. Yeah, this anyway. I was saying earlier that this was actually the more humorous Saw movies, like with the first one. First one was yeah, and then these envelopes. There were six envelopes. That was another reference to the title of the movie. Of course, there's going to be probably some satanic stuff, and we don't talk about that. We talk about the good thing. Anyway, I like how the box has the internal red and the external black as a reference to Jigsaw's colors and his cloak. His how would you call it? His robe. I'm gonna have to get me one of those robes. You know, that's too off topic, man. I won't talk about that. I need to find out this reporter's name. Oh, I have another. Oops, let me move my controller, my remote. This thing about these commentaries is they cannot be interrupted. Um, usually in these Saw films, you have usually in these Saw films you have the directors. The directors will usually have a node or a reference to the previous director of the franchise. So there's going to be some notes in this one that was a tribute to The director David Hackle, the director of Saw 5. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find this reporter's name. Blonde girl, blonde reporter. Oh, Pamela Jenkins. Yeah. As soon as I saw that name, I was like, yeah, Pamela. That's her name. Pamela was originally supposed to be a bigger character for Saw 6 and 7 and 7 2. If anyone knows about 7 2, yeah, you know what I mean when I say that. Okay, so right here in this hospital room, you see these two couples talking to this black nurse. The two couple, they were actually porn stars, and the guy, the male was he's a famous male porn star, and the director thought it would be interesting to have some porn celebrities in a Saw movie. So they were in there. They had some lines and they had some dialogue, but ultimately they just kind of showed up in the background. But yeah, those are two. Those are some porn actors. And now we have Hoffman and Jill talking. This is this isn't cool because Jill. I was a little upset about this because I was like, why is Jill this involved, especially with Hoffman? She shouldn't be. But she loved John. Dang. From now on, I work alone. From now on, I work alone. Sorry, I know I'm quiet. When I'm done, we no longer speak. The dialogue for Hoffman's character is very distinct. I've noticed when I read the script for. Oh, there's the couple, the porn couple arguing in the hallway. John. They will continue to let you down. Maybe addiction's just part of human nature. But what about these people, Jill, who come here every day and use you? They bide their time. They're avoiding prison sentences. Oof. Getting hooked. Wow. Charlie Clouser. Goodness, I've never seen Jigsaw so angry. Sorry, what? Sorry, I've never actually analyzed this scene until now in this moment when Jill Tuck is having a flashback. This song that's playing right now in the background is called Baptism by Charlie Clouser, and it's very symbolic as to what John Kramer is actually trying to tell Jill Tuck right now is you're trying to help all these people get better and not be on drugs anymore. But these people are addicts, and their habits are getting worse because of the medication that they're being given at her hospital. And John is saying, you know, you got to wake up and not do this because they're just getting worse. And then he brings Amanda and says Amanda's proof that what I do is really helping people. The music that you're hearing is reused from Saw 3. There's a couple of songs in Saw 6 that were reused for. Oh, there's a buzz saw in the news anchor. And then the news that they're showing, that what Will is looking at the news right now, and the in the background that the news guy is talking about, the news reporter, there's a buzz saw. That's the buzz saw that was used to kill John with in Saw 3. A little prop reference, or a prop reference, I guess a prop reference. But anyway, you're gonna hear a lot of the same reused music that's been in previous Saw movies because Charlie Clouser was busy doing music for a different movie at the time and couldn't really focus too much on Saw 6. So he was actually doing multiple movies and he just got reused old tracks from the first three Saw movies and just reused them in this movie. I want to say he was doing the collection or the collector, but I'm not sure. The security guard gets shot and gets shoved through the glass. They wanted to Someone on the crew wanted to break that glass. They said he broke through it. They didn't comment whether or not the security guard actually survived that gunshot or not. I would like to believe that he's still alive. Dude was just doing his job, you know? That's crazy. You're a security guard. And then the one time you actually have to do your job, and it's like, oh, well, the person, the people, company you're protecting or guarding is the one that ends up, hurting you. Oh, the drink of today is sweet tea. I'm drinking a little bit of sweet tea because I've been having some problems with my eyes lately. Probably because of how much I've been staring at screens. So I'm drinking sweet tea today. I still got my wine glass right here next to me. I'm not really drinking out of it. I washed it out. That I just kind of keep it clean for now. Now, Jigsaw is talking on the monitor right now, showing his face, showing himself. No, I can talk about it, but in Saw, um, what is it called? Saw X, which Saw X was directed by Kevin Gruter also. I believe Kevin Gruter did 6, 7, um, Saw X, and Saw 11. He's doing Saw 11. So, the same director who did Saw 6 also did Saw X. And I say that because there's a lot of connection between those two films. Saw X really being not so much a sequel, but it's connected to Saw 6 and Saw X. Jigsaw, um, Jigsaw mentioned the insurance company and everything, and there's just a connection in Saw 6 and Saw um, X because Jigsaw tried to go to his insurance company and he talked about some options and stuff like that, and the timeline of the Saw universe. Saw X takes place between Saw 1 and Saw 2, but in the flashback where John meets William actually happens between Saw 1 and Saw 2 and before Saw X. So yeah, interesting little timeline going on there. So I say that because John is in his regular clothes when he does this game, and he doesn't really use the puppet too much. And it was because of how personal this game was. When you're dealing with wardrobe in movies, especially with superhero movies or villain or movies of like anti-heroes or villains or most movies. I'll say most movies. When you're dealing with most movies, the wardrobe is very important, and it was important to have Jake's John Kramer showing himself, showing his face because this game with this insurance company is very personal to who he is and to his humanity, and it was important for them to like really see that it was him, that how deeply they hurt him by rejecting helping him out with his cancer as an insurance company, and them not taking care of him when he needed to be taken care of. But yeah, I love that they have to be quiet, and whoever breathes, it crushes their rib cage. It's like, oof, it's like, be quiet. I don't know if there's any music playing in this scene, actually. Let me see. Oh, yeah, there is. There is. Oof. I always thought it wasn't fair that one person had to die versus another person. Oof. Yeah, just cracked his rib cage. And so we have lost our custodian, Hank. Hank is his name. And the trap is called the Oxygen Crusher. Some useless knowledge there. That scar that's on the side of William's side, apparently they forgot to actually put the makeup on, or they put makeup on, or something like that. But behind the scenes, they had to like digitally enhance like the color of his scar because they forgot to properly do it. And so when he lifted up his shirt, it was, I can't exactly remember, but when he lifted up his shirt, there was something wrong, and they had to like digitally enhance the way it looked and the visuals of it due to a mistake that they've made behind the scenes during editing. Hmm. Yep, and here's Tara and Derek, I believe is no Brett. Okay, so this character right here, the son, in this movie, his name was Brett Abbott. From what I believe he was actually originally a kid. I think he was Jeff's son, I believe, or something like that. I can't exactly remember what his role was, but he was originally in Saw 3, the third one. And I would think it had something to do with his age or something to do with the fact that there are multiple children in the Saw universe, and almost every child in the Saw movies become orphaned because their parents are always killed. And so, but I believe that those were in the Darren Bousman directed Saw movies, which was 2, 3, and 4. But almost every kid in the movie was left orphaned. So the studio was like, "Stop it! Stop doing that." So Derek was originally in Saw 3, and all of his scenes were cut. And I believe it was, yeah, and he was very young at the time. So even though he was in Saw 3, he played a character named Derek. And um, anyway, sorry. So he played as a character named Derek, and all his scenes got removed and cut from the movie. And so yeah, they brought him back for Saw 6 to, give him like a little redeeming redemption arc. And I'd be like, you can come back for the next Saw movie. Um, so in Saw 3, his name was Derek, but in Saw 6, it's the same actor, and his name is not Derek. Not Derek. What is it? Brett. His name is Brett in this movie. Um, so now Pamela just tried to talk with Jill Tuck and slit the paper underneath her door. She goes to the elevator, and her elevator does not work. So she walks away. Originally, in this scene, when Pamela is walking down the hallway, Greg Hoffman actually has the pig mask on, and he's walking down the hallway, and he's actually busting out all the lights. And she looks down the hallway, and she sees this dude in the pig mask, having this baseball bat, knocking out all the lights. The baseball bat was actually the same bat that Xavier had in Saw 2 that he used to kill Jonas with. So they brought the bat back from Saw 2, but it just didn't make sense, and they were just like, that might be too much noise, and there was just a lot of stuff that just didn't work out. So yeah, the bat from Saw 2 was supposed to be in that scene. And now we have John Kramer meeting with William in a flashback about insurance companies and things like that. Um, I believe that yeah, so John Kramer's listening to William and listening to his formula and how he does the formula. John does not seem impressed. He's just listening to what he's saying, and he's like, "Oh, so you just, in a sense, you just choose who lives and who dies."
The will to live.
So during this flashback,
Tell whether they have what it takes to survive.
so actually during that flashback scene, it was written to be a lot longer, and originally John, Jill, and Amanda were all three at that party. You can still see Jill and Amanda talking together, wearing their dresses in the background between William and John. In that scene, they're in the background talking at a table. But the scene where all three of them were together at that party was cut out. So now our boy William is walking through the whatever this is called, and the area that this game is taking place in is a zoo, an abandoned zoo or aquarium, or I would say zoo. But yeah, and of course during that scene when William and John are talking, that was a reused song from the first Saw movie. Yeah. Billy. That's so funny that Billy just like that's just funny how Billy just like hangs there and just he's just like talking, but he's like hanging there up against the glass. That scene scared me in the movies when I saw this in the movies. I remember that. And this Jigsaw is just, you know what? I wish I could write my own Saw script. Maybe I will one day, and just kind of throw it out there somewhere on a blog or something. But I would love to just write and just watch this scene. Just makes me feel like, what if there was a game that was set up and that was planned, but what if one of the characters disappeared or something, and when Jigsaw or whoever tried to have everything all set up, oh, that's funny. He just gets pulled up and laughs. But when Jigsaw or whoever is trying to elaborate the whole plan, what if they, disappeared or something like that, and things didn't quite go as planned? How would it be changed? Maybe I'll write something like that. I really, really want to write a script. And it may not be in proper format because I don't know how to write in script format. I just write in dialogue. That's just what I do. Man, that's rough. Or, also like these people that are part of the insurance company, what if a few of them, changed their mind or had a good heart or were remorseful and they decided to quit their job? Oops, sorry about that. Oh man, this poor dude, he has to choose. You know what? I'm actually getting a lot of ideas. I wonder if he held on to the wire, I wonder if his neck still would have snapped. If he held on to the barbed wire when his hands were freed. Oh, I love that piano. Charlie Clouser really made this a pretty dark sounding soundtrack. I really like I don't know what he did on Carousel, the song called Carousel. It was just interesting how that was put together. Oh, now I'm mad. Apparently, that was a scene where he said something like that, like, now I'm mad. But they had to cut it out because it's like, who really talks to themselves? I remember watching a fake trailer for Saw 5. Maybe it was a beta trailer, but I remember there being an acid that filled the room and there was like a squirrel and things like that. It could have been fake. It was put together by different movies. But I remember that acid being there and this cage being there, and I'm pretty sure it was a fake trailer, but it just was amazing how close they were together. Sorry, I have to be. Yeah, you guys need to know that. There's Pamela. She reaches for a tape recorder. I just had an idea for a Saw, movie or fan fiction, fanscription, fan script. And then I forgot just that quick. It's like I gotta write these things down before I forget. There have been times when I've thought of original fictional characters and I just forgot about them just as I created them. Yeah, see, Erickson knows that Hoffman's the killer. He's the new villain. And then there's Jill, her famous walk, holding her files. There's the custodian, a custodian. Where's so and so? That way. And here's yeah, some reused score from Saw 3, I believe. And now here's a flashback. Here's here is Hoffman holding Timothy Young in a wheelbarrow. Uh, and then here comes Amanda pushing John in his wheelchair. I watched the behind the scenes of them filming this when they were discussing the scene and discussing how they were going to deliver their lines. And Eustace, I'm so sorry, not Eustace, the actor who played Hoffman was very intense when he delivered his line, but he kind of have to be when you're acting against someone like Tobin Bell. And he just tips his whole body over. That's a human being. Yeah, let's be honest, you want him to suffer just as much as I do. Timothy Young was the man in Saw in the third one who was on that the gears and all his limbs got twisted. Um, he ended up running over Jeff's son with the car, and yeah, there's the cross symbolism that they're working on right now, which I actually never noticed until right now. Take my left. Anyway, yeah, right there when Amanda says, or Shawnee Smith says, "What do you know about life?" and she jumps at Hoffman. That wasn't scripted. She did that on her own as a fun little joke. And then here's him teasing Shawnee Smith about I know something, and yeah. She goes down to talk to John. She says, "Are you okay?" And you can see just that innocence in her eyes. You really see Amanda from John's point of view, how sweet she is, how caring and loving she's become, how much of a daughter she is to him. I wanted to write something that was kind of based off the relationship between the two of them. It kind of seeded, or it felt like it was there. It was a couple years ago, and the idea started to sprout with, I don't know, some idea with a character that was inspired by John that I made, and this idea that there was a daughter that took care of him, and that kind of was there and kind of played out in my head a little bit, but ultimately it didn't work out. And just that relationship that they had was unique to them, and I just felt like I didn't want to try and fight that or recapture it or anything like that. Or it is what it is. And even with Saw X coming out, um, that dynamic was better explored there, and I don't want to be a repeat and a failed repeat of already good work. So I chose not to go that route with my own original story. And there's the key. John giving her the key that she held around her neck in the fourth movie when she was interrogated by Peter Strom. And yeah, that door, she puts the file in that door. Um, Carrie, Carrie Elwes, his lawsuit from the first movie was resolved around this time. So they were trying to bring him back. There wasn't enough time to bring him back in six, so they just teased him and then prepared to bring him back in seven and seven too. So right here we see John talking with William, and here he's talking about there's a program in Mexico that can help him with his cancer. He just needs the funds to get there. And William says, "No."
30 to 40% success rate with gene therapy. He injects what he calls suicide genes into cancerous tumor cells. Then an inactive form of a toxic drug is administered in it. I'm familiar with the therapy.
So he's actually talking about Cecile's dad in Saw X, the doctor who worked in that field to help patients out, and then his daughter Cecile is the doctor who helped John out in X. and the whole dynamic happened. This was actually, he was talking about that. So the director remembered this scene that happened in this movie and actually recreated a whole movie based off this conversation that both William and John were having. So in this conversation that they're talking about was actually, um, yeah, in reference to X, and John had to pay out of pocket because there was a scene where he in X when he said, um, "Why are you the other half of the money?" Later, he had to pay out of pocket because his insurance company, which was with William, he didn't want to pay for that.
Over and over again. Should be made by doctors and their patients, by the government. Well, now I know that.
Hmm.
Patients or by the government. By the fucking insurance companies.
Yeah, how sad is that? Yeah, that the insurance companies are the ones who make up the policies of healthcare. It really isn't fair. Really isn't fair. Some people are helped, but I've seen there's some situations I know where it was kind of bad for certain people, but we won't go there. He says Piranha, another comedy part. There was a lot of comedy pieces in this movie. That was another one. The first one was with Tara when the dude lifts up his shirt and shows all his stomach fat, and then Simone, keep calling her Tara. Simone opens up her shirt, lifts up her shirt, and shows that she's skinny and doesn't have any fat to remove. So that was like the first comedy part, and of course those piranha that are in the background in that fish tank. Apparently they threw some goldfish in there, and the piranha just tore all the goldfish apart. But yeah, I guess we don't talk about that. Oof. Oh yeah, this one. So he's in the fire room right now in the heat. This actress, this actress who, this actress who's in this room right now, the heat, in the heat room and everything, the hot room. She, I think she was a winner of Scream Queens. I don't know. I'm not gonna comment on that 'cause I don't remember. I don't want to give any like false information or anything. But she got too much involved in her role and was a little bit too convincing, and it did worry the director a little bit and a couple other people. Some of the crew members. She's yelling and she's screaming and she's just catty and just all over the place and yelling, and the director was like she's gonna get a little bit too into it, and I don't remember if she ended up accidentally hurting herself. I think she did, and I think it was partially filmed when she like hit her head or something like that because she got a little bit too into the scene. But yeah. So apparently in all in all these movies, apparently in all these movies there's the words that are written in red ink. Or no, the play me tapes that are written in red and the play me tapes that are written in black. There's a difference. I'm not entirely sure what the difference is. And she still has her heels on. Wow. Has her heels on, walking through a cage of fire. Let me see, what was the name of this? What was the name of this? Oh, I'm sorry. The hanging, the other character, the last game that William had to play. Those two characters were named Ellen and Addie. I completely forgot to mention their names. And that trap was called the Gallows. I guess for this character is named Debbie, and this trap is called the Steam Maze, I guess. Yeah. Come on, Debbie. You got this, Debbie. So I don't remember. I don't know if it was this scene. Yeah, that's right. When they had to do their fight scene. Yeah, the key was in his side, and she got a little crazy. I think originally in this part, I think originally in this, I don't remember if it was this part, but at some point in the movie, there was a part when William actually had to pull his teeth out as a reference to dang, she kicks him in the crotch. Wow. She really wants that key, huh? Oof. Well, she didn't make it. The thing shot her in the head. How did I never notice that watching this movie? This was a very confusing movie. There's a lot of stuff I'm seeing or catching that I've never caught the first 11 times I've seen this movie. Now I'm mad. So I think in this scene he actually had to pull a tooth out in order to get the key. I guess the key was like in his tooth or something like that. Oh wow, she breaks the hole. But it didn't work out. There was, I believe it was in this movie that he had to do that, but it was later put in Seven when the main character of Seven had to, not the movie Seven, the sequel, the final chapter, um, when he had to pull his back teeth out to get the code to open up the door, the safe code or something like that. It was put back in that spot. There's Derek. Is he gonna pull the lever? There's Erickson. Okay, I think there's another cameo in this scene. Now we have Perez, Hoffman, and Erickson talking. Yeah. Something interesting about this. I love this cat and mouse game. They know who Mark is. They know who Hoffman is. It's unfortunate they didn't just get him. Hmm. Uh oh. Oh, she says it's currently being analyzed. And the way that she looks at him, yeah, she knows it's him. Hmm. I'm trying to remember. I might have missed it, of course. Might have missed the scene, but no, there was a woman. It might have been the woman that was the police officer. There's the Toyota Prius, a hybrid. This, yeah, Toyota Prius, nice and polished. And here's the rough scene to watch, which is this scene, and this is when Charlie Clouser plays his piano, his music notes. I'm actually gonna just turn it down because I can't quite handle this scene either because I mean I could it's just like it's just too much is just happening, and it happens so long that it starts to like sink in mentally, and if it's just a little uncomfortable. Apparently to a lot of the fans this was actually one of the best or better or best that they've used traps or whatever that they've designed. Oh yeah, patterns, karma, going full circle, things like that. Good representation of the circle. Once,
Of all applications denied or prematurely terminated. Now you must apply your analysis to them and will be able to find their errors. Drive the carousel.
yeah, like apparently there wasn't originally the script was faked to have 10 people on this because the director knew that he couldn't get them as many people as he wanted, so he faked the number and pitched it to the studio to be 10, and they were just like, no, you can't have 10 people, that's too much, and they lowered it down, to the number that he actually wanted, but he knew that if he started at that number, then they would probably be like no, so they were trying to do a reasonable deal and let him go down from 10 to this amount of people, and he yeah, got his wish at the end of it. And yeah, this is a bit brutal. So, this isn't John to put all these people in here like this and be like, yeah, kill all these people. That like it's not really his. Oof, got him. First dude got. But anyway, dang, I wish I remember what I was saying. But anyway, dang, what was I saying? Yeah, I guess he got what he wanted. Oh yes, John isn't like this. So the fact that the monitor shows up and it's actually Billy that shows up is, you know, makes more sense because it's like it's not really fair. John is more of a fair person, and having to choose all these people, it's yeah. All right, so the second one made it. Man, that's rough. It's the psychology of this is rough too. So only two of them can make it out, huh? And the other four get shot. see. So let me see if I got this right. The first dude was Aaron. Okay, his first dude was Aaron. The second one was Gina, or Jenna. I guess she makes it. I think. Oh no, Jenna got it. So the next person was Dave. Dave, Josh, Emily, and Shelby. So Aaron didn't make it. Jenna. So this must be Dave right here. I don't think Dave made it because what did he play in? Was it Family Matters or Bill or the Cosby Show? One of the two. He's doing good for himself. I think Family Matters. He was the son. He was. So what next was Josh then? So let me see. Aaron didn't make it. Okay, so I assume Josh is next, right? I wrote these in a certain order. Nope, nope. So this must be Emily? Ooh, okay, so I guess Emily makes it. No, 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 no. I think I wrote down. Oh, I wrote down which two characters made it and which two characters didn't, and which four didn't make it. Okay, so I wrote them in a weird order. That's the order. That's why it's off. This character. This scene was always disturbing because I believe his name is Josh. You can hear how he's yelling and he's yelling out. He's just like, "You look at me when you kill me," and he's being bold, but he still has that. Yeah, he says, "You look at me when you're killing me," and then you see that boldness, and it goes from boldness to fear to like a type of helplessness, and then he gets shot and killed. This is a really rough scene to watch. Just to be like, this is terrifying. This is an awful trap. It really is. Um, and here's the music playing. This is the director's cut because in the original cut, when he goes through this door and grabs the key, yeah, when William walks through this door after the carousel shotgun, he reaches for the key and he pulls the key and there's a piano note. That piano note is not in the original theatrical version of the movie. It's only in the unrated director's cut. So this was the director's cut. Originally, that in that trap, the shotgun was not in front of them, and it didn't shoot them in the heart or the torso. It shot them in the back of the head, and they didn't really see it coming. Whenever they did get shot, but they changed that. Um, so right here we have Erickson, Perez, and Mark, and here's the analyzer. Now it was either the analyzer or it was the cop earlier on. I think it's the analyzer, I believe, who is actually the daughter-in-law of Dr. Oz. Yeah, Dr. Oz, the Dr. Oz. Let me see, Dr. Oz is Oh, and they're doing the voice, and they're saying who. Oh, they're getting the voice. They're saying who did the recording. And there's Hoffman putting down his cup of coffee. Apparently, that cup of coffee was foreshadowed in five. He left it there, and I guess they pulled fingerprints off of it, and I think that's actually how they caught Mark, because when he was watching the whole thing happen in the fifth movie, when they were watching the whole thing happen in the fifth movie, when he left his coffee there, and I believe right here when Mark Hoffman actually stabs Perez with the knife, um, Costas was saying he described this scene as Mark Hoffman making love to Perez with his knife and wanted this scene of killing her to be very like sexual and intense and very intimate as he stabbed her and killed her. And they thought it was pretty dark, but the dude's like getting into character. So he described that that's what he wanted the scene to be like. That's that was it. So that's why that scene was a bit rough to watch. And yeah, this dude's like the Terminator. I guess he just killed three people. And I want to say that that was Dr. Oz's daughter-in-law or ex-daughter-in-law. I'm not sure. Yeah, and here's Costas getting Peter's hand and using his hand to get the fingerprints to fake, you know, his legacy. Fake that Peter was the killer the whole time. And putting this, touching his hands everywhere, his fingerprints. This actress who played the analyst kept her eyes open the whole time. And so here we have Hoffman, yeah, putting his hands on everything, making it seem like it was Peter. Now he opens up the gas tank, and he pours gasoline on everything on the MIDI keyboard, and it was like freezing water. So as you can see, he pours it on the analyst, but when she died, her eyes were open. So she kept her eyes open that whole time that they poured all that on him. So this was the scene with Erickson when he's on the ground and he's still moaning like he's still alive. And they're like, "Yeah, we can't kill him off." But then right here, when Hoffman burned the lab down with the matches, he left Erickson in there covered in gasoline. So yeah, so they all didn't make it. Yeah. So anyway, that's why Perez came back in the sixth movie, because the studio needed a cop to kill off for the sake of the cat and mouse chase, and they needed to kill off a character they couldn't do with Erickson, so they just brought Perez back and um killed her off for that. You know, I'm thinking of five that had all the flashbacks. Okay, so I got to do five. There's Pamela Jenkins. I gotta go out tonight and see if I can get some more money. I gotta pay someone, and I gotta get some money, and it's already 10 o'clock, but I'm not looking forward to it. But I know I gotta go out. I just want to go to sleep, but I can't. Family. You can do it, William. This was another one. This that is another one I couldn't handle, which was the acid scene in this movie. Why is Pamela there? When I think about it, what did Pamela do? I don't remember what Pamela did, but she was supposed to be a bigger character, a bigger role in these three movies, and her scenes just didn't connect well together, and they just kind of, you know. But she was in five. I remember that. There's a cameo that she made in five when they were showing pictures. Which when I do the fifth one, then I can explain that. But Pamela was actually in the fifth movie, and she was in this one, and she was in. No, she wasn't in the next one. She was originally, um, she was originally scripted to be in the next one, but she wasn't. And I'll explain that whenever I do the commentary for seven, final chapter. This is the bad guys. Amanda, Amanda, Amanda will fail you. Do, 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 do. I remember a remix of this song was used in Spiral. Dun, 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 dun. And there's our boy Cecil. Yeah, it shows that Cecil didn't want to run in there and get the drugs, but Amanda, Amanda tempted him with lust and tempted him to go run in there to get the drugs. So Cecil was the one who Cecil went in there to get the drugs and accidentally pushed the door that hit Jill's stomach and it ended up killing the baby by accident. Um, yeah, so Amanda was the one who tempted Cecil into doing it. So it wasn't Cecil directly that killed John's unborn kid. It was Amanda who kind of tempted him into doing it, which kind of pushed him to do it. So she felt guilty for being involved in the circumstance happening. So so Hoffman left her a letter, which I will explain in when I do my commentary for Saw the third movie. But Mark explains. Yeah, he knows that it was Amanda who did it. Oh man, I love how this is. It has a weird dynamic to the fourth movie. Like it's weird that he has to go through all this and beat the timer and hurt himself, to save certain people, where the other character, Rig, had to leave people there, and this dude has to like save people. But it's interesting to see that dynamic, to see a character hurting himself to save people, but in the opposite case, it was just leave these people to try and help themselves. Yep, and there's the twist. You were the dude from the insurance company. And now Jill, Jill straps our boy Mark to the chair, and now here's our boy John on the monitors. Hmm. There's Zip 6. Sorry. Oh, I'm talking about. Sorry, I was talking about Rig, but I think I meant Jeff in the third one when Jeff had to like save these people. But it's like the opposite, which was like Jeff had to save all these people and forgive him, but like for William, he has to hurt himself to save other people. It's like Jeff definitely wouldn't have done that. This was in the soft deleted script of the fourth movie. Um, I guess I can talk about that later. But in the scripts, um, this scene right here in the sixth movie, there was a similar scene in the original script of four that was very similar to this. So now we have Joe putting on the jaw trap over on Mark's face. This is the bad guy's about to get caught. This is really the last one. Oh, poor dude. But yeah, there was this idea in the script of four that Jeff had to choose the fate of all these people, whether to save them or not. But he was actually secretly being watched, and when he got to the end, the person who was watching Jeff throughout the whole movie of three, had to choose whether or not Jeff was worthy enough of being forgiven. So this was actually a scrapped idea that was in the fourth script that was never used for the fourth movie, so they used it in six. Come on, Tara, don't do it. Tara, I believe Tara, the mother, she returns in seven. She's in the support group, the recovery group, and then there's Brett choosing revenge, and he pulls the lever. Boom! The needles poke him. This is another scene I can't watch. It's kind of weird that to pull the lever, Brett choosing to pull the lever on William seems to activate the trap for Hoffman and for Mark, and I don't know why. Um, that was the whole thing, but like I said, this movie was really about the idea of karma and what goes around comes around, and just how karma really works. One of the hidden messages of this movie, and action causes reaction, and whenever you make a choice or you put something out there, it ends up circling back around and coming back. So be careful about what you put out there and things like that. What you put out into the world will eventually find its way back to you, whether it's a blessing or a curse. There's so many ways, and sometimes, yeah, just what karma looks like in so many levels. That acid that was actually used that hit William and melted his insides out and burned his body apart, that acid actually wouldn't have been painful because the acid that was used actually burned the nerve endings or the pain receptors. So in that scene, it actually wouldn't have been painful. That's something that was, I don't want to, yeah, just, yeah. Now you have our boy having flashbacks of all the memories that they had and that was my boy. John was my boy. He was my friend, and he's just having memories of all the stuff that they went through together, and all the people and the characters, all the flashes that I can't look at. Yeah, when he put his mask through the door to that window, and it opened up between the bars of the window, and he was able to pull the thing off his head. Yeah, so that was all the flashbacks of the previous movies. That was to bring it all full circle. That yeah, it was just bringing it all full circle of where it began and how all these cycles started up and how it all ended here, basically. So now I get to the end credits. So 7 and 7 2 were planned to be the last two movies. So this definitely was a setup for the finale. So you could see in these flashbacks, you could see how Hoffman, feeling betrayed by John, it really was like this was Costas or Hoffman really gaining his independence and him saying, everything that we went through and all that you've done, I'm taking control of this now. This is my game. I'm the leader of this, and this revelation that he's woken up to, that the Hoffman's woken up to after, the jaw trap and him getting out of it. That was him basically being reborn in a sense of leadership, but within his own sense of rules. So now that actually um, begins to bleed into the theme of the next movie a little bit, which was Hoffman taking full control and saying, you know, I'm the leader of this, and this is all me. This is all me up in here. And also him going after Jill, his John's wife. As Kaufman really looked up to John. He looked up to John a lot, and then by the end of this movie, you see how he felt betrayed, and that sense of betrayal manifested in Costas going after Jill. And of course, after what she did to him, but that's also like his legacy. And John should not have gotten his lady involved. That's something that you don't do. She wasn't ready for for this. But yeah, he got her involved, and she should have said, "No, I don't want to be involved in this game." Because once you're stuck in the game, then you no longer play by your own rules. You're stuck playing the game's rules, and she definitely should not have engaged. It's like that. It's like that TV show Heroes. Like once you're like in the circle or in the cast of heroes, you basically die once you once you're out of the circle. I gotta say, between Game of Thrones, Attack on Titan, and Heroes, I think those had the most kill counts. I haven't seen Supernatural, but you would watch Heroes, you wouldn't think that many characters actually died, but if you watch the entire show and then you go back and watch it, you're like, wait a minute, like five of these characters are actually alive. Yeah. Oh, and here's our boy Charlie playing one of the Hello Zep remixes. There's so many remixes to that song. Yeah, so of course when I did the original script, when I did the original commentary for the first movie, I did talk a little bit about the chakra references. This would actually be the sixth chakra, which would actually represent the third eye. But trying to explain how that ties into mythology is um is a bit difficult, especially now watching the end credits. But yeah, it's a lot easier to explain the first two movies and then explaining the seventh one and the fourth one, and well, the first four movies. It's a lot easier to explain the first four movies and the fifth one. Actually, all of them. It's easier to talk about all the movies and how they reference the seven chakras, except for the sixth one. That's like the hardest one. Anyway, end credits are over. Thank you for listening to this, and and oh, there's an end credit scene. Post end. Oh, this post end credit scene was actually a deleted scene in the third movie. Shawnee Smith was actually whistling a song. I don't remember if it was like Wheels on the Bus or something about the rain or something, but apparently the owners of the song, the family who made the song like 100 years ago, they still own the rights to that song, and it was a kid song. So the little kid was whistling it, and Shawnee was whistling it to establish a sense of trust. But because of rights, they couldn't use it. So Shawnee just goes to the door and says, "Don't trust the man that comes and saves you." She originally sung the song. All right, have a good day, and thank you for listening.